right, everyone, we're back in the science lab with Bozo Ta today to talk about the endgame crisis, because without Bozo, it does not happen. So we'll open up our research tab, and at the very bottom, we have this thing that we've researched called the Fleet-Wide Sensor Analytics. If you choose to take this, you will start the endgame scenario, and I will say, it's not worth it. I wouldn't do it if I were you, unless you really love combat and you really want to be pressed and you really want to manage a war. Don't do it. But once you research fleet-wide sensor analytics, so that warns you straight up, this will lead to an overwhelming crisis. Essentially, what will happen is once that is done, a ship will appear, and for me, it was way down south. And it's going to be this ship right here. The unknown CPU ship. Let's do a live stream view on it so you can see the thing. But next to my Asgards, next to my carriers, this thing will spawn. Now, you'll go and you will see this ship, and you might shoot it. You might get it down to 20% health, but it's going to jump away from you instantly. And then the game will kind of take a hiatus and wait for you to get 500 million credits worth of combat ships. So that's not the price that you pay. It's, it's kind of just market value. And what I needed to kick that off was these three groups here. So I needed 3 carriers, each with 20 fighters, with 20 support ships, and I'm not even sure that this counted toward the military count, but definitely I had to build all of these Sins. So I built 18 Sins. I built 15 Asgards. I already had the Hung, the Behemoth, the Lily and Nightshade, and the King from the game before. I went ahead and bought another fleet from the Boron, bought all of these Eclipse Vanguards, all of those Asgards, all of those Sins, and some Sapporos. And then I built a third fleet. That one fell down, then sank into the swamp. But the fourth one stayed up. No, I built 15 of these fighters. All of these Sins, all of these Asgards, and the Nomad. And based on what I had, in addition to the few combat ships that it might have counted in my unassigned, it kicked off waves. Now what it'll do is it will spawn the first wave. Bozo will say, oh, I'm getting activity. My first wave was an Argon Prime. The way it kind of works is it looks for sectors where you have the most value in. And for me, Argon Prime, hands down. It has my shipyard and all the goodies associated with it. It has 3 other stations. And I had a combat fleet, and I'm not sure if that was part of the calculation, but I had one of the carrier groups here waiting for it as well. It spawned over here next to the Argon High-Tech Factory. And it consisted of an I, several Ks, a bunch of Xenon fighters, as well as Cock. And the bad thing about the in-game scenario is they do not use gates. So if you think, oh, well, I've got these gates on lock. I have a station that encircles these gates, and I could kill anything that comes through. No, you're not. It's going to spawn over here, just because. And it's going to start moving into your sectors. Once you get that dead, then Bozo will say, oh, I think we're okay for now. And some time will pass to let you get your bearings. And then it will spawn in the next location that you have a lot of stuff. And for me, it was Memory Prophet 9 because of my Research HQ. They spawned here. Had to fight them back. Then they moved up into Sokka Space 1 because I had 2 of these defense platforms plus the pharmaceutical goods factory. Once that was done, then they moved into Tharkas Cascade. Then they moved into Matrix. Then they moved up into Family Sokka. Then they moved up into Lydia, sending the same group type, the same flight group every time. 1 I, 2 Ks, a bunch of fighters, and a bunch of Cocks with a Ravager, which is essentially the Cock equivalent of an Asgard. A 1-shot, 1 kill. If you're in front of it, you're dead sort of beam weapon. They went to Weeman. They went to Raxaminion. They went to Family Newt. Then they went to Sokka's Junkyard. Then they went to Matrix. And it was about 17 waves, and each wave is on my playlist. I'll try to remember to put a card up right now in the upper right-hand corner of that montage of me clearing out the 17 waves of this in-game crisis, culminating here at Memory of Prophet 9 once again. So I don't know if it's programmed that the Research HQ is the last spot for the last wave, but once that was done, then Bozo said, we have the enemy ship on screen. We need to get to it before it goes away again. I had to jump a combat fleet down to Mukai's Revenge. The Behemoth, that big Asgard that's been modified to all get out, blasted this thing down, and that's where it stayed. I think once, if this shark was to move and take its battle group with it, this thing would get its health back and jump away and just not come back, and then possibly allow fleet-wide sensor analytics to be researched once again in case you're a glutton for punishment and want to do all of that all over again. More power to you. I certainly don't. So just in case, I've kept a carrier group here just shooting it ever since. They haven't moved. Their lot in life is just to keep shooting this thing so it don't go away. I even put a fort that can blast it as well. I'm not taking any chances. Now, if Egosoft releases a DLC where this thing has to come back later, then I might move it away and, maybe scoot my factory over or destroy my factory so I can see what that's all about. But yeah, the in-game scenario requires you to have a beefy military fleet. If at any time you are feeling overwhelmed, your fleet gets wiped out, and you're thinking, oh God, I'm screwed, you can come back to Bozo and pay, it was like 250 million or something like that. It was an astronomical amount of money to basically delay it for another hour or two. But it does not stop until that CPU ship is stopped. So there's no, oh, this was a terrible idea, I want to get off this ride. There's no getting off this ride until that thing is knocked out of commission or you reload a save all the way back before the crisis. So my recommendation, if you've got the hard drive space and you remember, keep a save before you even research that, so that if the crisis seems like a terrible idea, you can just pretend it didn't happen. And in my episode where I kicked that off, I even said, out of character, look, I've got another save. And if these waves don't go well and I get absolutely thrashed, I'm going to revert. Because I do not want to spend, and I think it was like a good 25 hours of gameplay just doing wave. Waiting for the next wave, doing the wave. Waiting for the next wave, doing the wave. Just to like fail and lose all my crap. Nah, not all about that life. But that will do it for me in this first section of beginner tutorials, trying to help you learn this game of X4. It's vast, it's deep. It couldn't be overwhelming, but hopefully I've shed some light on why. I know a bunch of people might rip this. I haven't even made these public yet at this point. But people might rip me apart saying, you talk too much, just tell me what to do. Well, you're going to fail. Because I can tell you what to do all day long and you're not going to know why. And then when things don't go your way, you're going to say, well, this game's stupid. I did what you told me to do and it doesn't work. Well, I'm telling you why it doesn't work in these episodes, so I'm hoping that you picked something up. You can take what you learned here, even take it to the Star Wars mod, though I will say the faction system in that mod is a little bit different, takes some getting used to, as well as they use a lot more missiles over there. Flares will come in super handy if you play the Star Wars mod. But I'm hoping that you can now sit down, get a nice campaign out of X4, and really enjoy it. And more importantly, understand what's going on under the hood so that if something does go wrong, you know how to fix it, or you come here and I can tell you how to fix it. But that will do it for me. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in. And stay tuned for my playthrough of the 8.0 update and the diplomacy in my roleplay series. Once I get that under my belt and I kind of understand what's going on myself, I will make another tutorial section and attach it to this playlist. But I'm not going to just jump right out on a beta and tell you what I think is going to happen or how things happen before the release, because I want to give you good information. So, take care. I will see you for the diplomacy update. Hopefully, you'll subscribe and join me for my roleplay whenever the diplomacy update kicks off. Take care.